Good morning once again, and thank you for watching Sunrise at Sea this morning. If you just joined us, you are right in time for Twitter Jabs Part 2, and the topic of discussion this morning is the Landlord and Tenant Bill 2021. My name is Sandra Cope, and in studio, I am joined by Mr. Michael Aboneka. He is a social justice advocate. He's also a partner at Thomas and Michael Advocates, and also a director at EnviroGreen Trust Limited. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sandra. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank
I'm happy
you.
to be here to enjoy the sunrise with you and everyone.
It's quite a sunrise, isn't
Yes,
it?
it is.
Well, let's dive right into it. This bill, why has it taken so long? Because it, like 2018 and then 2019 Parliament sent it to the President, whereby he sent it back in October 2020, citing some reconsiderations in the bill. Could you please highlight that for us?
Thank you, Sandra. And I think that the issue of regulation of business is not new. People have made the arguments of, you know, this is a free market economy, so I do whatever I want. And if you don't like how I do it, go hang yourself on a tomato tree. You know, we've had these things before. But the thing is, the role of a state is to create wealth for its citizens and protect the citizens and their wealth. That's very key. The role of the state is to create wealth for its citizens and also protect the citizens and their wealth. Now, people do business and think that they should do everything. They shouldn't be regulated.
Yes.
This bill was first mooted in 2012, a year before even I graduated.
Wow.
And we have been part of this process ever since. We do this work sometimes, you know, I don't want to use the word clandestinely, but in the background. Because the question is, if the lawyers are regulated, we have a whole law that governs us and governs even our fees.
Yes.
And we're in business of legal work. So as a landlord, you're saying you don't want to be regulated. It is a free market economy. Same for schools. I'm just giving a preamble on why we need this. Same for schools. We're in the war with the schools because they are saying we need to charge as we want. How come in the same premise, on the same plot number, you have 4 schools in different buildings, each charging different amount of money? Why? How come that you accept the 225,000 shillings as for if a person from government and a private partnership arrangement, and my child who is not coming from government, you want them to pay 2 million shillings? So it's unfair. And me as a social justice advocate, I find that unfair. So the bill was first mooted in 2012, and the landlords were up in arms. And I've read their comments saying, you're throwing us out of business, let it be free market economy, but it needs to be regulated. So it comes back in 2018.
Yes.
They are discussed and discussions and back and forth consultations, and unfortunately most of the consultations with the big lords, the big boys,
Yes.
who so-called owners of this town. But I didn't see a consultation done by the tenants. How come the Tojikwata Code was a lot of consultation and things that touched the nation? So so it was passed now in 2019.
Yes.
And then the president said, no, we need to clarify some things. It is COVID-19 situation. We need to widen the definitions of premises, what amounts to a business of premise, what amounts to this other premise. For example, you're saying nuisance. It is illegal for you to, you know, to use your premises for, you know, for other purposes that lead to nuisance. For example, if I have a rent agreement with you and I'm operating a bar,
Yes.
definitely there's going to be some noise. People
Definitely.
playing their music, whatever it is. But next door is a residential area which has a lease from the same authority. So the president was saying, can you widen these definitions? And then we see how we deal with this. But again, this is glaringly telling you that we don't have we might have serious planning but enforcement. How come that plot A, which is a residential area, plot B is a bar, plot C is a mosque, plot 4 is a washing bay. Like, what's that?
That is quite true. There's actually an area.
So beyond just saying landlords and fees and what have you, there is need for serious policy reform. The people in Kololo, I know KCCA has a full program on greening Kampala. All that one day ETC is going to turn green. I'm waiting how. There's a whole lot that is coming up. The people of Kololo will say, no, we can't accept you to Kololo if you're cutting trees. You must have this big compound, so that people protect. But in our places, you buy a 50 by 100, and there is no planning. Before you know it, the entire plot is surrounded by toilets facing you. So what are you going to develop that as? They give you a lease and say, this is for purposes of commercial business. For you put a residential house. Then tomorrow you're quarreling with the neighbors. So this law, the purpose is to regulate the relationship between the landlord and the tenant.
And the tenants.
Because, like I said, the government must make wealth for its citizens, but also protect the relationships. Yes. So I love the fact that it came back, Parliament has debated it, and then it's been passed. So I am hoping that the president will assent to it, because I know the big boys keep talking to him because they feel their business is being attacked. And I love the law because it's protecting the users. In this country, we keep talking about consumer protection. People complain when their airtime evaporates.
That's true.
So why don't you let me complain when you increase rent without notice?
What happens though, because part of this bill by law, the tenant and the landlord are supposed to sign an agreement. What happens when they don't sign an agreement? Because some tenants don't know. They pay money, they move into the house. They don't know about all these things. So what happens when they don't sign?
Yes, and I think this is where our society needs to up their game. How come you rush quickly to a clinic, and even when a doctor tells you are fine, you have to pay his consultancy fee? But you call me in the night, you're asking for legal opinion, you don't even want to pay my consultancy fee. I'm telling you I'll charge you 500,000 for this agreement. You're saying that's a lot of money. I know people who didn't consult, they went into deals, and when the stuff gets harsh,
that's when they come
back. We need to recover our land. We need to do what?
Yes.
How do we treat doctors differently from lawyers? They're all services.
Yes.
So that's the biggest mistake. Be it NGOs, be it entities, people think they don't need legal services. Now, why you must sign? The law is very interesting. You see, the law, before this, every agreement was done in the name of the Contracts Act of 2010. Now, Section 10 of the Contracts Act is the fact that a contract may be oral or written.
Yes.
But subsection 4 is the effect that if the subject matter is beyond 500,000,
it should be written.
It should be in writing. Now, tell me in this country, how many people have contracts for something beyond 500,000? Now, the law is saying that it should be an agreement. I can make an agreement with you, and a contract can be inferred or implied that I'm signing for my 500K from you every day. So we have a contract. Yes. You can't deny me. So, but for purposes of of sorting the messes that come up with the issues of challenges that you are not my tenant. What shows that you're my tenant? They forget that we send them mobile money. Like they forget that we pay.
There's evidence.
So even if there is no agreement, it can be inferred. It can be implied. So the law is saying under Section 3, which will probably become Section 3, that the tenancy agreements may be in writing, in word of mouth, or data message. That I can send you a WhatsApp and say, I agree to the terms, can we go on?
That is an agreement.
After all, people ask people out on WhatsApp, by email. and the other person says, I agree, let's go out, send me a
Yes.
pin. That's already a contract.
Yes,
So
it
the
is.
same way here, I can write an email and say, Michael, I'm letting out my premises. Would you want to take one of them? And I say, yes, I would. How much? That is also a data message.
Yes.
But if the value exceeds 25 currency points, which is 500,000, emitwale atan eja Uganda, then it must be reduced into writing. For whatever, I keep telling people, even if it's one page, there is no standard of a contract. But the standard of a contract is the intention of, or the intentions of the parties.
Yes.
Michael and Sandra, what did we intend to achieve in this? Sandra is going to supply me horsehair, and I'm going to pay this amount of money. That's it.
That's it.
That's the intention. And it must be lawful. That's why you can't enter into a contract to supply girls for rape.
You know, you absolutely
Because
not.
it is against public policy. Do people know that? And then you keep demanding it. That's why you see, you know, the only way they demand is they start hacking people. You see people dying, and you're like, they were short, a deal went bad. You ask them what deal. Then they tell you the guy failed to supply the right girls. That stuff happens.
Oh, wow.
People's organs are being, you know, sold, trafficked. And Parliament is now mooting a law on that. So government must protect its citizens. So you must sign an agreement. Usually, I don't know why, people come to me and they want me to witness an agreement which I didn't draft. So I decline. I don't want to put my hand on something I don't know about. Council, nange, I can do it. Please witness for me. Yes, I can witness, but give me time. And I keep telling people, especially people who go and pick loans.
Yes.
Why are you in a hurry to pick money and you're signing documents you have not even read? You know those terms and conditions which are like 25
The fine print.
in 0.5 font?
Yes.
Tell them, okay, give me time. Let me go with my draft and I'll read through and get back to you. I love such people, okay? And we need to be that kind of Ugandans, that you ask questions.
We shouldn't be hasty.
Yeah, and say, don't be in a rush, because you want money quickly. So you tell them it's fine. Let me take the agreement. I'll read through and get back to you. Take your time. Read clause by clause. My father-in-law is above 70 or something, but he calls you and says there are 70 clauses. Can we read through one by one before I sign? If he's doing that, then how about us, the young people? Why are we in a hurry for a deal?
So for this bill, Council, is the public sensitized? If the president signs this bill, will it mitigate these disagreements between landlords and tenants?
It will. There are many factors. But you see, the problem is it hasn't been sensitized, and that's what we are doing, some of us. This morning I'm launching a law digest, and I have simplified what the bill is talking about in fine, plain language.
Yes.
So we are going to put it out there as Thomas and Mike advocates and as the Enviro Green Trust, because if other people are not doing their job, the Ministry of Housing and what have you, they're supposed to be doing this. And I keep asking, we have the Ministry for Housing and Urban Development. How many houses has the Ministry for Housing built for Ugandans? So this is a policy issue, because this is purely private. But how many houses has government built for its citizens? How many houses does the National Housing Corporation have that is affordable, that Mike Awoneka can pay his 500K?
Yes.
For a period of maybe 4 years, and I own my property. Now, Guru here, they evicted people, and they say they are going to build low-cost houses. Go there right now and show me any low-cost house and who is living in there. Let us not be taken for a ride. So beyond these small things, some of us are saying, let us look at policy largely. So one of the things that the new law brings is increment of rent.
Yes, and it says this particular one should be increased more than 10%. Your landlord can't just show up and be like, you know what, I have increased the rent.
Yes.
And what of, maybe you should also shed some light of the offense of annoyance by the landlords.
So this is the thing. Normally people wake up and say, I feel like I need to increase. It's my property after all. If you don't want, and they say it badly, gendo zimbe iyo. Let me say this. That is business. The way you want to be served well when you go to a restaurant, that's how you should treat people. People who are coming to your houses, each time if tenants are crying, those tears are not for nothing. Your business will go to dogs. And you have to be careful with people's tears for whatever business. So the law is saying, give me notice. Don't just, you know, and this is actually a section, it is saying that you must give me 60.
60 days, yes.
Previously it was 90, so there was that debate. How can I give you 3 months notice? Yeah? But it is saying, and okay, let's give me 60 days notice. Okay? And then, this is now annual increment.
Yes.
And say, okay, I'm giving a 60 days notice for the proposed rent. Now, if there is a provision that and the rate increase shall be done in intervals of at least 12 months. You don't just increase twice in a year. People need to plan. So the 10% increment is, in my opinion, not a bad thing, but you must notify someone so that they plan.
They can plan ahead.
There is also a new bad practice. I sell my house to someone. Ntunda bapangisa nembaguza Sandra. I sell my property with the tenant, and I don't tell the tenant.
Yes.
The new guy comes and says my houses are from onwards are 1 million. Atayagala agende. Hey, look here. You must give me notice. Now the law is saying you must give me at least 60 days notice. And 10%, and you're saying you can't increase 10%. 10% is what? If I've been paying 500K, at least it's 50K on top. So that I know I have to look for more 50,000 shillings. So it is good for everyone. You can't just increase. Same for school fees. And by the way, we have a draft law for school fees. And we've told government, if you want to work with us, we have it. So let us regulate. So the other thing is the offense of annoyance. This law is amusing. It provides for the offense of annoyance. You know how the landlords come? I think it's better in Uganda. Nebakudulira, nebakulangira obutazimba. Oba toyagala agenda ozimbe iyo. I've seen landlords who have come to remove a door from a tenant's house, but it is their house.
Their door.
And they remove the door and say, Lero togenda jisulamu. Today you're not sleeping in this house. You must get out. That's annoyance. And do you know what that means? Do you know that the new law proposes that you can actually go to imprisonment for a year?
The landlord.
The landlord. You are the big owner of CTV. We're just taking an example. And you annoy me, and I have proof. You can pay a fine of 3 million or imprisonment for 1 year, or both. So tomorrow, if I'm a judicial officer, and all these facts are brought to me, you have no defense, I can give you both. So imagine you're a landlord and you've gone to prison. Now that's why people are up in arms. No, just as a lawyer can go to prison for fleecing a client, even you're a landlord, you can go to prison for annoyance.
Yes, for harassing your tenant. And annoying your tenant.
And by the way, this is not exclusive of other laws and criminal whatever, like torts and assaults. I have dealt with matters where the landlord has beaten a client, the tenant. The tenant. And she's bleeding. And you're like, now how are we going to deal with this? Fruma munyumba zange. I've dealt with situations where the landlord has set fire. Has set fire to his own premises? Yes. Because he's quarreling with the tenant. Wow. Now, even the Lord wants order. The Lord wants us, and I'm talking about Jesus Christ and God and whatever else people believe, that everything should be about the well-being of citizens. Like we should live in a fair society. That's what social justice is. Yes. Ubuntu. That I greet you and you don't ask, what are you up to? That life is treated fairly. That everyone is happy and harmonious. Yes. That's what the law is trying to do. The other thing is about the issue of re-entry and possession. Normally they just come and they enter, but now the law is saying give me 30 days notice. And say, especially for re-entry, that on default of payment. So give me 30 days notice. The other thing the law is trying to do is, there are also clauses, by the way, this thing is a win-win.
Yes.
That if a tenant has refused to pay rent, okay, you don't, normally we always had processes, you go to distress for rent and then what have you, but you can go to court on that alone. And the tenant can be evicted. So the eviction in this law is saying that you don't just evict people like that. And I've even broken down in my digest. We have a whole law on eviction guidelines, which together with my colleagues James Muhindos and Netpil, we were fighting for, and now we have it. You know, it was signed as a legal notice by the Chief Justice, as then he was, but Katurebe. So you can't just evict people and say, the law is not jifuluma. I swear you're getting out. So the law is protecting the tenants, but also putting a sense of responsibility of a landlord.
Yes,
that these are your
tenants.
clients. Don't treat them as competitors.
What are your parting shots to the landlords and tenants out there?
Let peace prevail. Like, let us have a nation where we converse. I discuss with my landlords. I tell them, I think we need to change this color. And that's how it should be. My landlord has never entered my house. Okay? We should have that cordial living. Sometimes I even suggest to them, I'm like, can I buy off this property from you? And we laugh about it.
Yes.
That's how the harmony in this country will, and the sanity will return. So, but to the landlords who think this is a fight and you can't handle this business, look for business elsewhere, because there's no country where you won't be regulated. And for the tenant, you have all your obligations. Enyumba y'omusajja tugikubamu misumali n'ogireka bweri. Don't reach inside, you sublend. You bring your 16 people from the village and you're collecting rent from everyone and paying the landlord just, let's be fair. Let's be a fair society.
Thank you so much, Council.
Yeah.
Well, you heard that from Mr. Michael Aboneka, and he is a social justice advocate. And we have been discussing the Landlord and Tenant Bill 2021 this morning on the Twitter jabs. Well, we'd love to hear what you think about this bill, so please head on down to our social media pages at CTV Uganda, and don't forget to use the hashtag CTV Sunrise. Let's keep this conversation going. Well, do not go anywhere, because up next is Shivan, and she's going to be showing us how to make a mango smoothie. You would not want to miss that. Don't blink.